Hey everyone, day 26 of Budget Watch 2017, and you know what? I don't need this anymore. That's right, so today they passed the budget, they passed the cigarette fee, a few other things. It's all done. Both chambers just Sine died. Well, the Senate Sine died this morning, shortly before lunchtime, or around lunchtime, and then the House just finished about 10 minutes ago. And that's it. So, recap, we've got a budget of $6.9 billion. There's an airplane circling the Capitol. We've got a budget. We passed a bunch of fees the last minute that may or may not be constitutional. So we'll see what happens with that. Those will likely be challenged in court, which will cost the state money, one way or the other. Also, the several state agencies were held harmless in the budget, but most were not. Most have a 4 to 5% cut. Higher ed, for example, gets cut the percentage, but it comes out to about $34 million. It's on top of what they've been cut in years past. And so that is difficult for universities across the state. And over the next few days, expect like this next weekend, probably in the Sunday paper, to start seeing a deeper analysis of what this budget means, both the percentage cut, because 4%, 5% doesn't sound like much, but when you break it down by how many millions of dollars it is, how many jobs that is, I think folks are going to start realizing that, like, while 4% sounds like a small number, 34 million is a very large number, and what that really means on the ground, what that means for jobs, for people's lives, for other stuff. So, a lot of mixed feelings. It could have been way worse, for sure. Could have been way better, also for sure. We are still, I think, most organizations, associations, think tanks, regular folks, media, everyone's still trying to figure out what this is going to look like and what it really means for our state moving forward. We really do want to kind of emphasize, I want to say thank you to everyone who came out this session. We've had more citizen engagement throughout this entire legislative session than in any year that anyone can remember. I've talked to folks that have been in politics for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years, people who have been up here because their parents were up here and they've been in politics for most of their career, and they said they've never seen anything like this. And that is huge. Like, that is you, that's your role, and that is so awesome. For us, we've been doing this like 13 months, right? We started in April of last year, and it was just kind of winging it the whole time. And so for our first legislative session, I think this has been a huge learning experience. I'm immensely appreciative to all the legislators who helped us out. I will undoubtedly have a post later that tags all of them if I can. But folks on both sides of the aisle that I got to meet, have conversations with, get inside information, inside glimpse into how things look. People who have been on staff now who were former staff up here, legislative assistants, like people who worked in the parliamentarian's office, like everything. So much information, and I'm excited as we kind of move into off session and kind of refocus looking at the next year for how we're going to help kind of share that information with you, like with the public. Really want to do some more stuff in rural areas and reach out to folks that are not just those that are within 15 miles of the building here. So if you have been wanting to get involved and you happen to be watching this and you live in some rural area and you want to get together with some friends, hit us up, send me an email or a Facebook message and let me know, and we can make a plan for a time this summer to come out there. So a question here, David says, do we know when the governor will sign all the bills? Not specifically. She's got 5 days to sign them. In theory, she could go back to her office right now. I know she was on the House floor a minute ago, or I saw on the live stream. So she could go back and probably get them all knocked out today if she wanted to have a nice weekend. So sometime in the next 5 days, or usually it's next week, she gets them all signed. And the fiscal year doesn't start until July 1, so we've got a few months to kind of figure out what's happening. One item of note that I think is very important related to the budget is that while the cigarette fee did pass, the emergency clause on that did not. And the emergency clause, you'll see that on lots of bills, and that just means that that bill needs to go into effect immediately rather than waiting the 90 days like most bills do. And so that didn't. So that means we'll lose a few months of revenue. During the debate, there was the folks debating against the emergency clause said we should allow time for the Supreme Court to evaluate the constitutionality of this, because it doesn't make sense to start collecting fees up front if it's going to be ruled unconstitutional and we have to pay those back or something. Also of note, there was a huge amount of one-time funding that was used in this budget. I think like $400 million in kind of one-time funding, maybe more, and so that money is only good for 1 year. And so that means we're going to be back in this hole next year, and we also we're going to have to make up some lost ground. So we didn't fund the budget entirely. Folks are already talking about how soon the first revenue failure is going to occur, which is certainly disheartening, because that means we may face mid-year cuts again. So everyone's getting the cut up front to start the year off. Not everyone, most organizations, most state agencies are getting the cut up front, and maybe everyone might face another cut down the road. So for me, this is not how we fix this, right? Like, this is not the future. This is not the vision for Oklahoma that I think most people have. I really do want to hear from more folks, though, and find out kind of what everyone's thoughts are and what you think, what your vision for the future is. So if you haven't signed up already, please go to our website, letsfixthisok.org, and sign up for our newsletter so we can communicate more with you more easily off session, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're going to send out some surveys, and I really want to get some feedback from folks and kind of find out more about who our most involved people are, even in kind of aggregate data, just how many Republicans, how many Democrats, what district you live in, and what issues matter most to you. So thanks so much for all that you do. One other question here, David also says, it's sad when people start to wonder when the first revenue failed. Yeah, that's, David, we agree. Also, we'll have some super exciting announcements, and they're still kind of secret, but the summer is going to be really big. We're really excited. We'll have some new members joining the board this summer, some folks rolling off, and as we look towards year 2, be great. If you are willing or interested or able, please, we can use your donations. We had some funny Twitter conversations in the past week. Nobody gets paid. I don't get paid for this. I really have to take time off work from my actual job to come up here and do stuff, or I wait and save my lunch hour for late in the day to make a video or whatever, and do it on weekends and nights. No one makes money, and the money that we do receive goes into buying buttons and flyers and paying for the web fees and that kind of stuff. We would love, at some point, if there's any generous donors out there, it would be great to have full-time staff to be able to look into this stuff, to do a better job of examining, to travel around the state and help do education and engagement activities with Oklahomans across the state. That's really that's my dream, my vision, is that we've got staff, whether it's me or others, going out and be able to meet with folks in their homes and coffee shops and restaurants, and hear from the people, not just to put a poll out there that calls you on the phone or it's on a website, but actually talk face to face and find out how to get folks engaged and what really matters to them, and teach people about what happens in this building and how they can be involved, and get them connected with one another. Across party lines, across the state, people are sick of being last, and we want to fix that. So, hey, you guys are awesome. 4 months of us doing this, 26 days in a row of making videos. I, for one, am glad to not make more videos because it's getting really hot out here. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all of our troops that are out there in the field now. Thanks to our vets for what they've given. And you guys have a fun, safe Memorial Day and a great summer, and we'll talk to you later.